attest to that because I've been doing it for years. Do buy the book. Ceremonial magicians hate you and think your methods are dangerous and wrong. Yes, they do. And if you go into forums and everything and discuss your successes with certain methods, you can bet that they're going to hate you too. Just saying. For some reason, people don't like it when they're wrong about something. So I don't know. Yes, you can work with Goetic spirits in a witchcraft kitchen witch kind of way. And does modification always depend on what you're seeking to accomplish? Absolutely. So always, when you modify, you do take into consideration all of those elements that work toward that actual end goal that you have. Because all magic has an end goal, doesn't it? It all has some sort of purpose that we're doing it for. And sometimes, now, we got to pause for a moment because sometimes that end goal, you don't want to lose sight. Because sometimes the learning and some of the benefit is in the journey. So it's great. Well, it's great to keep your mind on that end goal. It's also good to kind of keep your mind on the journey as well. So do keep that in mind as well. That is finally the end of our slideshow. So now I can go ahead and stop screen sharing. There we go. Now I can kind of go back through and see what questions I missed. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way back to the very beginning here. And yes, I will happily send you the slides. Although, whoever wants them, just let me know. So that's not a problem. You may enjoy my slideshow at any time. I think I have slideshows for, I think for the, at least for the other, one of the other workshops I did too. And if you need that, just let me know. Okay. So Jaden's going to do, since he has a sphere, he's going to do a 3D into a pyramid. That might be interesting. Okay, and then there's, okay, that's where the wooden box came in. I was wondering what that was with the wooden box. I was like, what? Okay, oh, okay, Tanya was talking about herself when she was talking about someone having too much time on their hands. Okay. Oh, let's see. Possession. Yes, you can't say the same thing about possession of any other entity as well. Angels can be just as nasty as demons. I don't know how many of you have done angel work, but they are not necessarily sweet, lovable, little cherubs floating around going, ooh. Yeah, that doesn't work that way. So any spirit can be nasty. Elementals can be nasty. Enochian spirits can be just as nasty. It doesn't matter. Angels, actually. I should say angels because Enochian spirits are a type of angel. So, but of course, they're all demons to me. So, yeah. So let's see. Goetic workings in nature. Does the energy of nature add to your working? I think so. I think anytime you do ritual outside, it gains like a dimension. There's something about it that's just that much more powerful because you are like bringing in all of that natural energy into your operation. So, let's see, what else? Yeah, Crowley did view demons as parts of the brain. And that's where a lot of people in Thelema are coming from. If you'll notice, like a lot of people who are into Thelema are actually psychiatrists or studying psychology. So, really, if you think about it, it's kind of it's kind of like psychological exercises. Magic becomes psychological exercises, which is actually kind of interesting. And when you think about it, and I do believe it can be used that way, kind of like, you for lack of a better phrase, you mind fuck yourself. So, in that sense, that might be one method to change yourself and the way you think about things. And thus changing, when you change the way you think and you change yourself, it kind of changes your outlook on the world around you. So, am I frozen here? Is my cam frozen? I'm going to turn off my cam and turn it back on. What's going on here? Oh, goody. So, no, good. Well, at least my other camera is not. Okay, within a week. Okay, so yes, it looks like everybody wants the slides, so I will go ahead and send it. Oh, yeah, I did. I froze, and now it's telling me that it's not going to let me back in. Okay, well, let me see if I can get the camera back up. What's going on here? Camera's working. Okay, so I know am I still a blank bubble head? I am on my screen. Oh, it's better not do this. So if I lose my picture, it's not a good thing. Okay, so hold on a minute. We're gonna figure this out. And David, yes, that's okay, the way you constructed your sigils. That's fine. Okay. Well, if we all close and restart, I wonder if it will allow us back in. I suppose it might. Let me see. Maybe any meeting is having a problem today. And I generally don't have this issue, so I really don't know what the heck is going on here. I wonder if I make one of you. Let me find Tanya. I'm going to make Tanya. I'm going to promote her to a presenter for a second. Can I promote you? Oops. Who all did I promote to presenters? Did I kick Tanya out? Oh, crap. No, there she is. Okay. So, Tanya, see if you can turn on your camera real quick, or your mic at least. See if you can take over. So I'm going to turn off my mic and my cam and see if we can get you. And maybe that way if I leave the room, maybe I can come back in and reload. I can hear you. Okay, yeah, that's really weird. Right. So let me see. Okay. Okay, I have another plan. Hold on a minute. I have plans. Okay, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to share my desktop. Can you all hear me? Here we go. Can you guys see me now? Oops. Hold on a minute. There you go. Can you see me now? Okay. Good. Good, good, good. We'll just work around any meeting. They're going to screw with me. There we go. All right, yeah, it's probably going to be a little laggy, and I apologize for that. Good, good, good. Although, again, I'm going to have a hard time. I'm going to have to read you guys' commentary in a bubble here. So let me just minimize all this other stuff here if I can, so that you guys are there. So yeah, I'll see the little bubbles come up, but again, I'm not going to have as much leeway there as far as like responding to your questions. So I'll have to go back in and we'll have to turn off the video when we actually get to that point. So luckily the actual recording is all just video of me babbling on and doesn't have any slides or anything in it. So you won't be missing anything. And I apologize for the technical difficulties. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the invocation here, and I'm going to go ahead and construct my Goetic circle using the 4 kings. Now, before I'm going to pause sharing real quick because I want to see if anybody has any questions. Oh, come on. Open. Chat. Oh, there we go. I can do this. Oh, I can still resume. I can actually resume sharing. Okay, can everybody still see me and hear me? Okay, good. I realized I can just put the chat over here because that's what I want. Good. Does anybody have any questions before we begin the invocation? She says, wielding a knife. I take it that's a no. I take it everybody is good. So, this phone's about dead. So hopefully nobody needs to contact me there. Okay, on to the kings. We'll move on. I'm not going to linger. If anybody really has any questions, I will pause and come back. I'm going to start, I think I'm going to start south. Just because it just seems rather appropriate for what I'm doing here. Ana tasa korsanane. Anano ave gap. Renin zimar et elan. Elan rean amemon. Okay. And there we are with our standard invocation. Now before we get any further, I'm going to start some altar incense. You can kind of go ahead and burn whatever you like. And if that's nothing, that's fine too. It's more of an offering type thing. There we are. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm personally going to go ahead and anoint and consecrate the vessels that I'm going to be working on. So I have some oleum here. It's kind of a general sorcery type oleum, and I'm actually going to put a little bit right on the inside of my little vessel here. And I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom of this particular vessel and maybe the inside right there. So there's that. Let me get that kind of out of the way. Again, I'm working in this small space, so I'm going to close that. Hope everyone saw that. Now, into your vessel, I asked you, when I gave you the list, to have all of these things with you. I believe it was 3 candles. A sigil of your demon. So let's put the sigil in there first. Oops. I always gotta like figure out where I'm going there. Make sure that the camera on both sides sees that. And in the little pill enclosure that I got with my little pill, my brass pill box here, I went ahead and I can't see if you can see that. There we go. Went ahead and put some, there we go. Put some items in there that are going to go into my little vessel. There's a couple pieces of whole frankincense. Okay, those are going right into the little brass vessel there. There are 2 stones. One's a little bloodstone, one's a quartz. Those are going into my little ball box. And then I have a powder I've made specifically for ball. That's actually kind of like a sorcery blend, creativity / sorcery blend. It's kind of purpley in color. Now, those are the only things that I'm placing inside my brass vessel here into this particular one. So there we go. There's that one. And if you do have a lid on it, go ahead and put the lid on it. If not, just set it aside. But I'm also going to go ahead and do my little Ashtaroth one. I've got a couple things for her. I've got a little seal for her, and I'm going to kind of toss that in there. And it kind of goes down. Now cleaning this one's going to be kind of a pain if I decide to deconstruct it at any point. I'm going to put some herbs in there that I have for her. I'm going to go ahead and put a stone that I have in there for her. All right. And I think I'm going to leave that as well. You can put all sorts of different things. I probably should put more stones into this one, but this one's ready to go too. And this is the copper vessel. So now I'm going to take them, and you should have set up your 3 candles. I think you can kind of see this. I tried to set up these cameras so that you could actually like see what I'm doing here, all the way over here during the demonstration. So to charge these, we're going to do kind of like a standard pillar. And you go ahead. And you're going to light the candles. And I don't know about you, but after the invocation, I actually feel the room actually feels different for me. I actually get like an actual change, like a shift in energy. So I want you to go ahead and over your vessels here, I want you to go ahead and say the ends of the demons, in my case, the end of the demon that you're working with, that your vessel is for. So I'm not going to do this part aloud. You can just say that you do this in your mind. Just do that while we're sitting here, and I don't want to distract you with my own ends. So I will go ahead and do those silently in my head. But when I charge, I like to, let me see if I can stay out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. I'll do an invocation symbol over that, the DZ. You all know what the DZ is. And I notice I'm not thrusting or poking. I'm just kind of moving it right through the air. I always rub my palms together when I'm going to be doing some energy raising. For some reason, it just, I don't know, it's a prep thing for me. Now imagine that demonic sigil emblazoned over your brass vessel, the sigil of the demon that you're working with. And I'm doing 2, so if you just imagine the energy going from your fingers into the vessels, and you imagine that pillar of energy rising from the floor, going up through that triangle of candles up to the ceiling, you're eventually going to be able to feel it with your hands. So just it feels like a giant cylinder. Now, you can actually do this for up to a half an hour or an hour, where you're actually just pushing energy into it. Once you get that pillar going, it can actually sit there for hours and hours, and it can go on its own, and you're not going to have to sit there and continually shove energy into it. But you get that pillar going, and it'll go. So we're just going to kind of just leave that for right now. And since we're not really doing a scrying session, even though I'm getting clouds in that mirror already, if I look into it, I probably should keep my eyes averted from any scrying device at the moment, because I am very much open to that right now. Not that it would happen unwillingly, but if demons have something to say, sometimes they just pop up, whether you like it or not. And my screen just went black, but that was because if I'm not constantly playing with it. Okay. Now, wasn't that easy? Can you all still hear me? Am I talking to myself? No. Okay, good. We're just going to let that phone ring because I don't know who it is, and it is what it is. So, now let's talk about deconstructing a brass vessel. So you've constructed it. What are you going to use? Well, first let's talk. You've constructed it. What are you doing? What do you do with it once you've constructed it? I did do the DZ for the Kings as well. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Ansu. Yeah, you know what? I am. I'm gonna make sure you guys have the recording link afterward, and I apologize. And it looks like a couple people are having crash problems. So, and I apologize for that. I apologize we had to kind of work around this, but I am going to make sure that you all get, I'll make sure this one goes up quickly. I'll do my best the rest of the day trying to figure out how to get it up onto YouTube, and then I'll send you all a link. It'll be a private link for your eyes only. Okay, so what are you going to do with your brass vessel? Your brass vessel is going to, Usually you're going to just sit it on your altar while you do other operations, or you do your scrying to work with that particular demon. So making spirit pots of that sort is really good if you're doing like a lot of work with one particular spirit. For a while there, I did Andre Vitamus's 30 days of magic, and we did like a demon challenge, an angel challenge, or you could do both. And for 30 days, I worked with Belphegor and Uriel. And so, anyway, so you can use that. You can go ahead and create spirit pots for work like that, because it's that's just the way, that's what you use them for. That's the whole point of creating the spirit pot, is to, if you're doing extended work, to have that spirit's presence on your altar or in your temple somewhere. And so creating the brass vessel is good for that. Now, if you're creating a brass vessel just to hold all of your seals in, that's a different story. Yeah, you do keep it still, you still keep that in the temple, but that's more just to keep all of the energy in, keep them safe. So, yes, I did. I invoked both the angel and the demon for 30 days. As a matter of fact, you should all check out Andre's Magical 30. He does like different challenges all the time. And he also does like classes where you can like actually take, I don't know, you'd have to like look into the details and everything. I can also give you the details, I imagine. Maybe I'll post it on my S. Conley page, where you can actually get exercises from him, like daily exercises. And I think it does cost a little bit, but it's not that expensive, and it's totally worth it. The Magical 30 is very inspiring. And I think more people should do it. If you're really a practicing magician, you definitely want to practice. And this is something that will encourage, I was going to say promote you to practice, but encourage you to practice every day. And blog about it. And blog about your experience and share that with your peers. So yeah, that's a good reason to actually create a brass vessel or a spirit pot for a particular spirit, and do something like this. So, although you can't see it because my big head is in the way. There it is. Actually, I think the actual recorded video is actually kind of cooler, because it's got me right here, and then you can actually see the triangle of art. You can see the pillar as well. So, yes, it's basically, David, exactly. It's a focal point for the intelligence. That's exactly what a spirit pot is, or what the brass vessel can be used for. Now, again, now a general brass vessel, you mean just to keep the seals in? You would do it the same way. You could charge it the same way, except instead of invoking demons over it, like a specific demon, you would put all of the seals in there, and then just like leave it there and charge it without, invoking any demons over it. Okay, so it's basically, either with concentrating on the N and the demon seal, and focusing that energy on it, or without. That's the difference right there. Or just charging it with energy. So general brass vessel to keep all of your seals in, just a general charge. So that's kind of that's the whole point. That's the whole reason you would create a brass vessel or spirit pot. You can also, again, you can use different materials, but you can also do this for spirits that aren't goetic. So yes, that means you can create vessels for Egyptian deities or any pantheon you're working with. You can do one for your matron or patron and keep it on your altar at all times. Because it's basically like a little home for your spirit. For demons that you're working with for extended periods. Now, you don't want to do it for demons you're not really working with on extended periods. So, but let's say you've gone and you've used your vessel, and now you want to clean it and you want to use it for a different spirit. So this is why I don't recommend like engraving engraving demonic seals on your vessels, because you may want to change them out. Well, it's always better to focus on one goal. It's always better to focus on one goal at a time, but you can try 2 separate goals. I prefer, if I'm doing 2 operations, I'll do, like, say, one in the morning and do it on one altar, and then one in the afternoon and do it on another altar. It kind of keeps them a little bit separate, but you can still do them. And you have to kind of test it to see if... The heck was that? Oh, that light went off. I was like, what light just went off? I had a light behind me just go off, so the video is going to freeze a little bit because without the light. So anyway, yes, you can work with 2 demons at the same time. Some work well together, some do not. You'll know immediately if they don't. It depends on the demons. You'll have to just try it and see which ones work together, and just keep pairing them until you find a good combination. Of course, it depends on what you're doing, too. Yeah, it depends on what you're doing as well. Because if you're, for example, you're going to find that your demons that are like water, that all have some sort of watery connection, may work well together. Whereas if you have one fire, one earth, they may not. They may kind of butt heads. When I was working with Belphegor and Uriel, I found that they were kind of standoffish toward each other. I mean, they were willing to work together, but they were kind of like, eh. So, do consider that as well. You just got to try different combinations and see what works. Okay, so Anna's saying that she consecrated and charged tarot pendulums and a Ouija board to Astaroth to do divination. Oh, good. Yeah. That helps too. And if you do, say, for example, a vessel to Astaroth as well, then you have like a really good combination there for different divination. Yeah. For any divination operation. Absolutely. So, and yes, you can leave your brass vessel in on your altar, even if you're doing other operations that aren't necessarily with that demon. Because that demon may reside there, but let's say you've gotten to a point where you no longer need to work with that particular demon and you want to repurpose your vessel, because that does happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about cleaning, how to deconstruct, appropriately deconstruct, and reuse a vessel. So first you want to go ahead and empty it out. And set your empty vessel aside. Set it there. And then you would want to take any seals in there. And you can either... I prefer burning them. A lot of people are like, oh, don't do that. You're going to hurt the demon. No. It's just burn it as an offering. Burn it as an offering. If you feel wrong about doing that, prick yourself and put a little blood on there and then burn it as an offering. If you... have any questions about blood magic, I actually posted one of those to my YouTube channel, about a half an hour talk about it. So if you are wary of blood magic, but I do recommend just putting some blood on the sigil as a thanks and kind of burning it. Burnt offering, down the road we go. Any incense or anything that you that was in your spirit pot can be left out in your, I suppose everybody has an outdoor offering place. I do. I put it in my outdoor offering area and just kind of let it go. And then any stones, I actually clean the stones and reuse them because stones are expensive. So, and of course I also clean and reconsecrate the vessel. So, I suggest cleaning with water, obviously. You can use a little bit of soap, but just clean it with water if you can. Maybe let it sit in some salt, let it dry. You don't want it to get nasty, so make sure you do dry it. Put it through the incense smoke, and just basically clean it, just basically cleanse it and get rid of any different funk or whatever, and then set it aside, and it'll be good to go for use in about 24 hours. So that's pretty much how you take care of that. Whereas my head is going to be like sideways in this other video, but that's okay. As long as you're getting the gist of the message and everything that I'm saying here. Does anybody have any other questions? So that's how you would deconstruct once you're done with it. So how many of you are actually feeling like this ritual has inspired you to want to experiment? Yeah, well, I mean, as far as brass vessel goes, yeah, one per demon, absolutely. It's just easier to have one per demon. Now, you may end up with 5 on your altar at some point, or 5 in your temple, if you're working with 5 different demons, but I really would think that you should give each demon its own. Just my thinking on that. So, that's why I have 2 over there. Oh, behind my big head. Well, that is why I like using construction paper for a lot of this. A lot of people want to make permanent seals and everything, but that gets time consuming and that can become time consuming and rather expensive very fast. So using a little bit of poster board and some ingenuity, and you can do a lot of interesting things. Yeah, Lily, that's kind of it. You kind of want to give each demon its own home. So yeah, I wouldn't put. I mean, if you're just using your brass vessel to store demonic seals, that's one thing, and you can put all of them in there. But if you're actually using it as, say, a focal point and like a virtual home for your demon, you definitely want to give them their own space. You don't want them to feel like they're fighting for it. Not only that, but you start getting too much ingredients in that particular pot. Too many cooks in the kitchen. So yeah. So that's entirely up to you guys how you do that. I know some people who have some really neat boxes. Yeah. So a lot of people do look at the brass vessel as just a box to keep laments and seals in. So, but yes, I think it's kind of great to create them for other purposes. So that's one method there. Does anybody have any questions? Is anyone feeling like divining anything? Is anyone having an urge, something pulling them toward their triangle of art? I'm enjoying it too. I think I'm having a great time. We've only been in here for an hour and 40 minutes. Theoretically, the actual recording here is only an hour and 40 minutes for the class. But I certainly thought there would be more questions for sure. But it appears to me you guys really have a handle on this, which is great. So me see here. Yeah, and that was the whole point. That the reason I wanted to do this class is because I think people make Goetia a lot more complicated than it needs to be. Oh, go ahead, Lily. That's fine. Yes, colors. Now, are we talking colors on? Are we talking colors on, say, the circle or? Lots of, okay, so does the hue matter? You mean like the specific, like instead of red, magenta, you mean? Um, I don't know, that's actually pretty interesting. I never get that. I always get shadows and then they'll just start talking to me. Well, there's a reason. I mean, color magic. I mean, that's a pretty old thing. Yellow is always. It depends. I mean, yellow can be associated with so many different things. Yeah. Well, yeah. If you find something that isn't exactly like the same color or whatever, you can use that. And you can add things. You know, if you do a brass vessel, you can add things to your pot as you go. It doesn't have to stay stagnant. You don't just have to leave it with those things that you just put in there. If you find something, like if you're doing something for Paimon, for example, and you find a shell that you want to stick in there, stick it in there. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it not being yellow enough, or that only things yellow should be in there or anything like that. I mean, yellow. I always look at things like that. It's a suggestion. It's a suggestion, and the reason those colors are there is because certain colors elicit different emotions and that sort of thing. Yellow is often used for like divination, for example. So, or fire, or some people will use it for air. So I mean, it really depends on how your mind associates color as well. That's why I'm kind of iffy about people who say that certain aspects of your goetic circle need to be a certain color or whatever, because that's really going to depend on. It's going to depend on the person, really. Again, as above, so below. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be a perfectionist and want to do things properly and worry that you're going to screw things up. But when it comes to magic, if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn. So experiment and see what works. Because I mean, the worst thing that could absolutely happen is something doesn't manifest. I don't. And yeah, okay, if you piss off a demon, they'll let you know, but it's not like it's the end of the world either. They don't tend to hold grudges. So, yes, you would absolutely recharge your vessel every so often. I'd say a good charge on a pillar will give it about a month. So it's probably got a month shelf life if you leave it in that pillar for a couple of weeks or so. If you need more charge and you need to work with that specific spirit longer, definitely give it a good charge once a month or once every 3 weeks, depending on how much you use it too. I mean, if you're using it as, say, you're doing a divination, you've got your triangle of art there, and you want to take your brass vessel and keep it right there next to your triangle of art to kind of, invoke that spirit, then yeah, you're going to definitely want to. You're going to want to maybe give it more charge. You're going to have to feel it and kind of feel when it needs more charge or not. And you'll be able to do that. Just put your hands over it and just kind of feel it. And this is where energy work is so important. If you've, I don't know, I mean, that's one of the staples of magical practice, and I don't know how much experience a lot of you have with energy work, but regular energy work practice can make you really sensitive to that. So you'll know when it's time to go ahead and recharge something. You should be able to feel it though. So, what generally should go inside the serpent within the circle? Well, the problem is like in the original Goetia, a lot of that it's all those names of God. Yeah, there you go. Ends written in Enochian within the serpent. That's perfect. Daniel's just so intuitive with this sort of thing. He's got it down pat. That is a good thing to put in there. I've known people who put who wrote down kind of what their operation was about in that circle. So, I mean, really, the sky's the limit there. That's more blasphemy. I am blaspheming, and I apologize. I hope none of you are hardcore. So, I mean, as far as, by the book. Because I've just broken just about every by the book ceremonial magic tenet that ever existed. So, of course, if you participated today, so have you. So, let's see. That's good. Okay. I think I've got everybody's questions. Yeah, Enochian is a really good language to use. Especially if you can actually pronounce it. Although, you don't necessarily... I think the whole point of the circle and the creation and everything is the attention that you give to it. The attention you actually give to the ritual. Because obviously, while you're doing that, you're going to be thinking of your intent. Now, if you're just creating a circle for general use, you may not have like a specific intent in mind. But in creating that, you are going to infuse that circle with an intense amount of magical power, specifically because you focused so intently on it. If you see what I'm saying. So that's why I always say that people should make their own stuff instead of buying it off the shelf. Because the more work you put into it, the better your results. That's generally how that works, how it comes out. The person who does the work gets the most results. No, I didn't freeze up. I'm just waiting to see if there are any other questions. The incense smells good. Oh, there's some glare on the screen there. It's a little weird. Anybody else? Yes, exactly. If you can do it yourself. I mean, that's the whole point, I think, of magic. I mean, if you are a magician, you are creating your own life and creating what you want. So it would make sense that you would create all of the materials that you use for magic, or as many of them as you can. Mm-hmm. I do. I tend to do that too. I tend to make candles and incenses, and although admittedly my yellow candles back here, I did use prepackaged on those. And the red one too, or the purpley one. I know, right? And I used to stick incense, but it was made by a friend of mine who actually did formulate it specifically for me according to my specifications. So that's always a plus. I'm just checking to see if anything else is here. Oh, good. Anna really went Astaroth crazy today. That's awesome. It's wonderful. You're going to be doing some massive divination sessions, I imagine. It's going to be intense. So you've made a bunch of offerings and definite contact, and the results aren't really coming through. So what do you do? Well, it depends. Maybe you need to also look at what you're trying to accomplish as well. It could be that your goal or intent isn't specific enough. It also may be that you need a different approach. And this sometimes happens when you're doing something that's a little more complicated than just jumping from A to B. Maybe you're trying to jump from A to Y. And so you have missed a few steps. And so you need to go back and figure out what is a more realistic goal. So, and then maybe kind of work toward that goal, but take the specific steps. Maybe it would be good to write your goal on a piece of paper and then say the steps I need to take to actually get to where I need to be. And then maybe do magic for each of the steps first. One step first, then the next step, then the next step. And just, it's a little more tedious that way, but I think you may get better results that way. I'm finding that I've kind of done that with some of my recent work too, where I kind of okay, I want this end goal, but there are other things here that need to happen first before I can even get to that end goal. So instead of focusing on the outcome of what I want to happen, I need to focus on the steps to get there. So, and sometimes if you're not really sure, maybe do a divination with the demons helping you on the matter, and maybe they can give you some insight too into why it isn't working. Never underestimate the power of demonic communication and finding out specifically from them what's going on, because maybe they are seeing something that you're not. So, and they'll tell you if it's possible or not too. That's going to be a really weird video because my head's going to be turned this way during the whole video. It's going to be off to the side. Kind of weird. Yeah. Yeah, you should definitely check with the Demonic Divine and see what they have to say about that. Now, I'm not going to go ahead. I don't know that I'm going to go ahead and close the circle here because I'm still going to be doing some things. Blood sacrifice. Robert, are you talking of an innocent creature or your own blood? Your own blood. Okay. You can definitely do that. Are you talking in conjunction with Goetic ritual? Because you can. Okay. Yes, absolutely. You can. A lot of people will get upset. Again, the by the book ceremonial magicians will say you should never give a demon blood because demons will just expect more and more and more blood, and that is not the case either. Blood in demonology practice, as you well know, I'm sure as many of you well know, is a common practice. And of course, there are some demons that just really don't want blood. They don't care. Some that are really against it, depending. Like the Kemetic hierarchy, they don't generally accept blood sacrifice. Some of them actually kind of seem offended by it. But with Goetia, I found that they accept blood sacrifice just fine. Um, so yeah, definitely watch my video on my YouTube channel about blood magic, because I do talk about blood sacrifice in there quite a bit. Or well, obviously it's entirely about blood magic. So yeah, during the context of a Goetic ceremony, if you go ahead and you set everything up, you do your divination session, then you can go ahead and, or before even, you could offer a bit of your blood on the paper. You put it into the offering bowl, burn it, burn offering, and the blood is offered up to the demon that way. Or you could even put it on paper and put it on their altar. You could add blood to your spirit pot if you wanted to align the demon to you. So, thank you for that, Ronaldo. I appreciate it. Robert, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Feel free to use blood offering during Goetic ritual. I will do that, especially if I'm working with a demon and I want to elicit their help in something. I'll ask them if they'd like a blood offering, and, sometimes they'll be like, oh, yeah, sure, not a problem. It's a transference of energy. Just remember that. You give them something. You're basically showing them, by offering blood, you're showing how serious you are about wanting something. So, yeah, my heater does keep cycling on and off, and I've got a cat over here on the couch, and it's got I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a foil cover to keep the cats off the couch, and it works really well. Obviously not. So he's crinkling over there, and the heater, or actually it's the air conditioner, keeps going on and off. But it sounds like a plane taking off. It sounds like a Cessna. So, and Anna, let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Very interesting, Anna. Sorry about that. I do apologize. Plus, not only that, but I also have a cooling device underneath this machine, because it will overheat and automatically turn off on its own. So I keep the cooling pad underneath it too. A candle making class? Oh, that would require a lot of... Well, no, I guess it really doesn't require a lot of supplies, but it would require some supplies. I would go ahead and leave your vessel in the triangle to charge for at least until your candles burn down. And probably when we're done here, you may want to go back and add more energy to it. And of course, you can also go ahead and have a divination session. I'm not closing today because I have every intention of doing some divination work here when I'm done. So I'm just kind of leaving and just basking in this wonderful energy of the four kings here. So, does anyone feel like they need like a little help in grounding? How does everyone feel? Yes, exactly, David. Exactly. You can. Yeah, it is an exchange of energy when you do blood offerings. Absolutely. Okay, so Jackie and Anna are fine. But yes, yes, David, absolutely. That's you give them some of your energy for them giving something to you. It is an exchange. So everybody feels okay. You're all good. You're all balanced. Okay, good. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Belial will definitely ground you. Okay, good. Good. Did I lose Tanya? Or are you still there, Tanya? I'm wondering who all we have and who we've lost. Oh, okay. She's there. I just wanted to double check and make sure everything's okay. No, that's all right. No, it's good. I just want to make sure everybody is feeling balanced and they're okay. And if they need any balancing tips or help, okay. Good, okay. Good. Sounds like everybody's in good shape. Uh huh. You were doing divination, weren't you? Uh huh. I knew it. Okay. So, if there are no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. I will stick around here for a few more minutes just in case anybody wants to talk. You can send me a private message if you don't, and I can just talk to you through the message box if you have private questions that you don't want anyone else to know about. So which triangle did I use for my vessel? Do you mean the candles are in a triangle configuration? That's okay. For the vessels, for example, if you'll notice, if I move back here, if you'll notice, they are in between the two candles back here and the one candle up front. It kind of creates a triangle, and you can kind of feel like a pillar of energy right through there. Now you can use other configurations. You can use, 5 candles around there, or 4, however many you want. I just chose 3 because 3's, the least amount you can use for a... The 3 is the least amount you can really use for a pillar, because you kind of got it all encased in there. That's the whole point of the pillar, the candle configuration on the pillars. So that's where the triangle comes in there. Now, technically we didn't use the triangle of art today, but that's only because we're not actually doing divination. So theoretically, you could actually go ahead and lay that triangle of art down flat, and then put your candles on the 3 corners, and set your brass vessel on the middle of that too. And that would be a perfectly good charging station to charge that brass vessel. Okay, Ansu, I promise, you know what? I'm going to mail you a link with the recording. And I apologize. That is kind of frustrating. So, for some reason, any meeting is just not cooperating today. And I've never had this problem with them before. So I'm a little annoyed. So, thank you, Jennifer. And thank you, Jackie, and Daniel. Yes, absolutely. Good. I'm glad you're doing that. Yeah, and that's what you did too. Okay, good. Yes, you can absolutely do that. So just, you can use that triangle of art for however you want to use it. Remember, it's a focal point to bring that demonic force through, as opposed to constraining it. So yes. Hold on, I think I'm missing somebody's... I am. Okay. Yeah, plan B worked well. Can I turn down the candles and then relight later? Yes, you can. You can do that. You may have to give it a little bit more of a charge. So, I think you're probably all going to want to give at least a 15-minute charge to your vessels after the class is over. if that helps. Because that little bit of charging that I gave it isn't going to be enough to like actually withstand it. For anyone like absolutely curious, so you can actually take this, in case you're not understanding what I'm saying, you can take this and, whoops, no, be good. Oh, that candle does not like its, yeah, huh, you little bastard. Okay. Just be careful so you don't ruin your, there you go, and then put your candles like so. I just don't want to ruin my triangle. That's the only reason I didn't put mine on the triangle. See if I can get this to be an asshole. There we go. Maybe? Good. There we go. Ta-da! And now you have your brass vessels, or your vessels, inside your triangle of art. And it's facing an appropriate direction. So, I do not, but you can put sigils under the candles. I do not at this time. Now, generally, when I do like a full-blown Goetic setup, when I put out my little sigils in each quadrant, I'll put candles on those too. But since it's daylight, I don't need that much illumination. So, really, this was just kind of thrown together as a demonstration more than an actual full-blown operation for today. So, absolutely. So yes, you can, if you're going to actually use your triangle of art, it's not necessary, but you can do it. So that is entirely up to you.